If you're over 40 and your makeup is looking cakey, it's probably not your makeup. I teach natural beauty. I love less makeup, beautiful glowing skin. I hear all the time from my clients that they feel like they need to wear more makeup and get more coverage, but it's only leaving them feeling cakey and just like they have a mask on. My name is Leah and I've been in the beauty industry for over 25 years. I've seen it all and I'm here to help you simplify your makeup and feel more beautiful. The first step to natural looking makeup is prepping your skin. I like to use a set and stay spray. This is going to hydrate my skin and make it ready to put on my cream makeup. I do recommend cream makeup when you are aging because it actually hydrates your skin, doesn't sit on top, it sinks in and moves with your skin, so you're not gonna get cakey or creasy. The other thing that I love is a multi-stick balm. This one is from a Korean company that I absolutely love. And this I call Crease Insurance. So this is just going to fill in those little tiny cracks and crevices so that way your makeup just floats over top effortlessly. I do recommend a cream makeup for aging skin. So if you have texture, you have fine lines, wrinkles, the cream makeup is going to be for you. I have an all-in-one cream makeup palette that I use, and this contains all of my things. So it contains my main foundation, my accent foundation, which is going to help with concealing my under eyes. This is a contour shade. I have a bronzer shade and then some lip and cheek shades. Everything in here is universal and can be used interchangeably for whatever you want on your skin. Then I also have all of my eyeshadows. I have some color correctors and then a setting powder. All right, let's get started. First thing I like to do is I start with my deeper colors first. So I use one brush typically. This is called the bronzer blush brush. It is my all-time favorite brush. It has a fluffy end for loose blending and then it has a more condensed end. The more condensed a brush is, the more coverage you're going to get. So if you're a full coverage girl, you're going to want to use something with more tight bristles. It's not really about the foundation so much as it is about the brush. Foundation does matter if you want more coverage, but definitely the brush is going to help. Start with my darker shades, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bronze first. I like to bronze first, and I recommend to a lot of my mature women because typically you end up with some age spots and unevenness in your skin's appearance, and by bronzing first, you're going to kind of camouflage some of those areas. So how I apply this is I apply my bronzer on the top of my cheekbones, and then also I'm going to apply it on the very top of my forehead. Bronzer is going to be placed wherever the sun would naturally kiss your skin. So on these high points of your cheek, across your nose, on your forehead. I like a little on the tip of my chin, and then I always kind of blend it down my neck. I like to use my contour. So my second darkest shade is my contour shade. This is called Ash. If you use this same brush and squeeze it nice and tight, now like I talked about with the brush, this is going to create a tighter bristle. You're going to take and pop that in, pick up some of your contour, and now what you're going to do is you're going to find the very top of your ear and feel around in there for your cheekbone. You're going to create a shadow. So contour is different than bronzer because bronzer is going to make your skin warm and sit on the high points of your face, and contour is going to be a little cooler and sit in the shadows of your face. So this is just adding dimension, and you can see how that already lifted my face by adding that little bit of contour. Now I will say, if you have very mature skin and you are already shadowing in your face, then contour probably isn't something that you want to add. So same thing on this side. Just going to pop that contour in. So a couple different key points with contour is you don't want to go too low and you don't want to go too far in. you want to make sure that you have right underneath that cheekbone, almost right on the edge, right where that cheekbone kind of rolls up is where you want to place your contour. Contour can also give you the illusion of a smaller forehead. So if you have a 4.5 head like me, what I like to do is I take my contour and just do a little bit around the edges. And you can see how this just kind of brings light more to this area here. So that way it kind of shrinks down my forehead ever so slightly. Our main dark colors are on. Now I'm going to go in with my foundation shade. So my foundation shade closely matches my skin. Now in cream makeup, it is going to look very different in the tin than on your skin. So don't be afraid when you get this makeup, because you're gonna say, oh my gosh, Leah really did me wrong here. She did me dirty. But no, it goes on like a dream. So like I said, cream makeup, what it does is it is going to blend with your skin so beautifully because it kind of melts in. So you can see how this is blurring everything. It's just a really, really pretty look. Now, I am not really taking this underneath my eyes. I like to do my under eyes last. So that way, I feel like you can use less product if you do them last, because all of a sudden they don't look as bad. I like to use my darker foundation in the center of my face because this is where we show a lot of texture, have pores, and so if you put too light of a shade here, you are going to emphasize those pores and texture, and it's going to look like makeup. Definitely not what we want over 40. So I use that darker shade there, and then I stipple or press this makeup into my skin. This really warms it up and gets it nice and blended and super natural looking. My other foundation is a lighter shade, and this one is called Candlelit. My other one is called Athens, if you're wondering what shade I am. So I'm gonna take my Candlelit, same thing, same brush, and I am going to take my lighter shade because my neck is actually lighter than my face. So I like to use this lighter shade here to match with my neck. What it also does is it's going to help lift that cheekbone and blend that nice contour all the way up to your ear to give you that really nice lifted look. Same thing on the other side. I take that lighter shade, popping my brush just right in there, and then I'm going to put this right here on this lower half. Now you can see this is too much of a line right here, and we don't want that. So it's cream makeup. So you can just stipple, press, and all of a sudden everything is going to blur and blend and look really beautiful. Now we're gonna tackle our under eyes. So the key to under eyes is moisturizing, which we already did. We have prepped our skin with the multi-stick balm. You can also use a little Vaseline if you have that laying around. The reason I like the balm better is because it has actually ingredients that help with dark circles and helps firm and plump, which who doesn't want that at 40, right? After prepping and hydrating, we are going to color correct. Color correct is by far the best thing you can do to your under eyes. Depending on how dark your under eyes are, it's going to change the color of color corrector that you're going to need. So for mine, for instance, I like to use a small brush for this. I use a brush called the Spot Brush. It has a tiny little end and then a fluffy end to blend. So for my under eyes, you can see that I have this darkness here. It's kind of this hollow here. And then I'm a little bright through here. But then I have freckling or melasma right here. And I don't know if it's showing up really good. And that's what makes my under eye look dark. Now, you could have an under eye that is a full dark under eye. You're going to tackle it the same exact way. You're just going to put your color corrector where your darkness is. So if you have darkness here, you're gonna put it here. If you have darkness around here, that's where you're going to put it. There is no need to be putting color corrector or concealer, especially concealer, all the way underneath your eye and expecting it to look like you're 20 years old. It just doesn't happen. this is the way to do it. All right, so I use these two shades here. This is a color called O3, Orange 3, and this is Y01. So what these are going to do is they are going to color correct. So this orangey peachy shade, that's perfect if you have dark blue, kind of greeny shades. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tiny little end and tap it in my O3. And then I am just going to tap right where I have that darkness. And you can see that it is blending out and kind of ever so slightly disappearing, right? So that's exactly what we want. Now, like I said, there's no such thing as a makeup that is going to give you perfect under eyes. So we are just trying to make it the best we possibly can. But look how much better that looks. It's a huge difference. So that O3, so now if you have a darker skin tone than me, you are going to use a darker orange shade. I'm gonna take this yellow shade. This is a yellow orange shade. Yellow is gonna be better for redness. So I do have a little bit of redness going on in this outside corner of my eye. And I just tap that there. The other place I do get a little bit of redness is right in here. It's kind of like this reddish pink color. And if I just tap that there, that is going to then color correct. So that looks pretty good, doesn't it? I think so. Let's just take a little bit more of the orange peachy shade. Let's put it right here. Like that. That looks really, really good. Okay, let's do the other side. So now, color correcting this other side. This side you can see I've got more darkness right here. So I'm just gonna place this peach color right where I need it. And then we're going to blend it out. Color correcting is really important because then you don't have to use so much concealer. And concealer is what really ages you. I'm gonna say it. It does. It just ages you because it tends to look like makeup. Well, I will say it looks like makeup. It just does. And I think by color correcting, then you don't have to use so much concealer. You can even take and press that in with your finger. Look how much better that looks. That is an insane difference. Same thing here. I always struggle with this little outside eye, and this is where we really get our fine lines and wrinkles, you know, so you don't want to get too much in there. So that's why it's really important to use the smallest amount possible and then tap that out. Same thing here. I can see here in this mirror below that I need just a little bit more color correcting. So good. All right. So now the last step to your under eyes would be to brighten. So this would be something that you can do or leave out. All of these steps are very optional. Do I contour on a daily basis? No. Do I brighten all the time on a daily basis? No. So that's what I love about this system, is that it's really just up to you and your lifestyle what works for you. So I just tapped into this lighter shade, which is called Candlelit, on my ring finger here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap just a little lower than that under eye, because we don't want to put too much product underneath the eyes. We really want those to stay as bare natural as possible. So I start a little lower. I do like to put a little bit of that brighter shade on the side of my nose slightly, because that it actually is going to slim the nose, especially if you like to contour your nose. So I just take and blend that out. So this is cream makeup, so it's warming up with the touch of my finger. Same thing here. I'm gonna start lower, tapping here, and then bringing it up ever so slightly, and then tapping it out. Just the tiniest amount possible. It's almost like you want it like butter in a pan. You know, you want to put a pat of butter in the pan and like swirl it around and make it go as far as you can. It's exactly how cream makeup is. You just want this to move and go as far as you possibly can before adding more. We are going to add our blush, and then I'm going to show you how to set your makeup. So blush shades, I love a cream blush because it looks dewy, natural, and just very youthful. I think that women, even if you are not a blush girl, you can use something really soft and subtle and just give your cheekbones just a little bit more oomph. And I personally like to put my blush more on my apples on my cheeks because I think it's really youthful. I think to add that plumpness here, it gives you that lift that you really should have and really want as you age, and that we really start to lack. So I'm going to use this shade here. This is called Princess Bubblegum, which is so fun, right? So I'm going to take and place this a little bit on the apple of my cheek, and then just kind of marrying all these colors together. And you can see my skin is just looking better and better as this makeup sits, and that is the beauty of cream makeup. It just looks prettier and prettier. All right, other cheek, and I pop it right on that cheekbone, but a little bit more towards my apple, and then just stipple or press. You can always add a little bit more. Now, I will say that cream makeup, as you press it into your skin, you are bringing blood flow to your skin just by tapping or pressing. So you may need to add more eventually once your skin kind of settles down and you don't have that blood flow. You can see how this side kind of cooled it down a little bit. So I'm actually gonna add just a little bit more blush just into this little area right here. And it is so pretty. You can mix and match blushes, but I love this pink shade for spring and summer. Setting your makeup. I definitely always set my makeup with this spray. It is loaded with Korean ingredients, which are incredible for your skin and very hydrating, and it truly turns your makeup into skin. So definitely recommend that. Now, if you're a powder girl, I highly recommend using a product with a little silica in it. And this feather blotting dust has a little silica because it gives you a little bit of sheen. Let me show you what I mean. So this product here, this is that feather blotting dust. You can kind of see where that just has a tiny bit of sheen to it, and it's really soft. So that still allows your skin to glow, because we know that we need glowing skin if we are over 40. So this is called the blend brush, and I like to pick up a decent amount of product on there. And then what I like to do is I swirl it into the back of my hand, and then I take and tap where I need it, because I don't want too much product. Never ever too much product. So if you need to blot this into your skin, you can see how that just dulled down that shine ever so slightly, but still left me with a nice glow. And that's why I like a little bit of silica in my powders. I really don't love a loose powder. I think it looks great in pictures and on camera, but in real life, it's gonna look like makeup and going to look cakey, especially if you have fine lines and wrinkles. Last step is going to be the eyes. So eyeshadow, what I do is I always start with my eyebrows first. And I like the Benefit Cosmetic Give Me Brow, and I also like Precisely My Brow is what I'm going to use here. And I just follow the natural shape of my brow and give little tiny flicks. So, and if you're not sure the natural shape of your brow, you can take a spoolie and kind of comb down and see where those little hairs live, and then just pop those little tiny hair strokes in there. Now, I will say, when you come to the tail, this is where I think a lot of women make mistakes, is because they drag their face down, because they end up taking this and just drawing it down. So if you start with the underneath instead of the top, when you do the tail, this is going to allow you to bring this tail more out instead of down. And that gives you just a really nice, pretty lift to the brow versus dragging it down. And you can see the difference that a brow makes. And I always take a little spoolie and soften and make this look more natural, like that. All right, let's do the other side. This shade is a 2.5 from Benefit Cosmetics. I do the underside of my brow here. I leave my tail alone. Then I'm gonna comb down, see where those little hairs live. And then I'm gonna do those little brow strokes there. Get that nice, pretty arch. And now I'm gonna do the underneath of my brow and bring this out. Okay, not really down. We're gonna go out for a lift. And then just soften with the spoolie. And now we have a really pretty natural brow. Now you can set your brow if you want. I like this Give Me Brow. It has a little bit of fiber in it, and so it helps to make them just a little fuller. I know I have been losing eyebrows, especially after I hit 40. And now at 44, I'm definitely seeing some thinning in my brows. So this Give Me Brow has been really nice. So I just use this to kind of finish it out, kind of like your final spoolie, if you will. And it makes them look really nice. Eyeshadows are personal preference. I love a matte. Typically, I do love shimmer too, but on the daily, I am a matte girl. And I do recommend matte for a lot of my mature clients because shimmer just is going to collect in those fine lines and make your hoods look even heavier. There is a place to put shimmer and it's on your lower lid, and that's what I'm going to show you today. Typically, I am a 1 shade girl when I am just getting ready. Here's a great, easy, effortless eyeshadow look that you can do on the daily. So this is the color Chai, and Chai anybody can use, and you are just going to sweep Chai all across your lid. Just like that. It's so pretty. It's a really pretty neutral. Here's what it looks like. Swirl that eyeshadow brush around. This by far is my favorite brush. I use it all the time. And it's really even what I reach for when I do clients. And I am just going to sweep this color over my entire lid. Even hooded eyes, if you have hooded eyes, you can still do this. Then I'm gonna take and just kiss the bottom lash ever so slightly with a little Chai, like that. And that is so pretty. Then I'm gonna take a little bit of a shimmer. This is called Sis, and you can see here, it's a really pretty pastel light pink, but it has this beautiful shimmer to it that isn't too much, especially if your eyes are aging. This area right here for aging eyes is your shimmer placement because it's usually the firmest. It is the firmest on the eye, and that is where you want your glow to come from. So when you blink your eyes, you then see that little bit of extra glow. And I would say this is definitely more of a shimmer and not a sparkle or glitter. I stay away from glitters for mature eyes, but in mature eyes, I say over 40 because most of us are seeing the changes at 40 years old. Okay, isn't that so pretty? It is such a pretty look. Anybody can do this. And it's really just light and natural and just an everyday beautiful look. Last step is mascara. So mascara is definitely personal preference, and my preference is a really natural looking mascara. This is called Buxom Lash, and you can get it on Amazon, you can get it at Sephora, and I love this because it is non-clumping, it lengthens and thickens, and makes my lashes just look really natural, and that's what I love. See how pretty that is? So I start at the base, I wiggle, and on the daily, I think for just a natural makeup look, I don't use any bit of liner. I keep my eyes pretty basic. and clean looking. I love a clean aesthetic, and just less is more when it comes to makeup. And I mean, I do love eyeliner and all the things, but I just think there is a time and a place. And in my daily life, it's just not the time or the place. But I do love it and I do teach it. Okay, so then I kind of look, I think it looks really, really pretty, don't you? I think we're looking really glowy, dewy. I feel like I could use maybe a touch more blush, but I think it looks really good. Lips, I have very thin lips, and so typically I like to line my lips just to give them a little bit of shape and dimension, because lips need dimension too. All right, so I'm going to use this lip pencil. It is a satin lip pencil and it's called Pepper. And this just gives a light shadow to my lips. And you can see how that just helps to define. And then you can go ahead and use a gloss. So I typically just use, this is called Lip Whip, and it is a moisturizer and hydrator for my lips. I love something that is going to just make them look really natural and shiny. And I think with that little bit of lip liner, it just does the trick. Now you can use a little bit of, look how, oh, that is pretty. That is pretty. That is Princess Bubblegum layered on top. And that is a pretty like natural mauve-y color. That looks beautiful with this eyeshadow. All right, that is it. Let's do a final spritz. Shake this before you use it. Get all those good ingredients for your skin, and then just give it about 4 sprays. It even smells just amazing. It is by far my favorite spray. And that is going to be linked in the description below. And everything else that I have used will be listed below in the description. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you next time.